Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you may be on the planet. Good to see you all here. Hmm. Ah. Hmm. Hmm. Hold on to this a moment. There we go. Okay. Okay, everybody getting settled in. Jerry Roberts, you're looking pretty comfortable there, so that's good. All right. Ah. Hmm. Hmm. So wherever you are, take a moment and just look around yourself. Huh. You are precisely right where you are. The real question is, how fully and wholly are we right where we are? So just look around and welcome all that you're seeing. It's a miracle. And it clearly allows you to be utterly supported to have exactly the experience you're having now. And just quietly as you're looking at the walls or the trees or the bushes or whatever you're drinking in through your eyes, just say thank you. Just say thank you. Whoa. What is a wall but the manifestation of infinite creation? Shaped by a desire, consciousness. And if they're holding up the roof over your head, those walls are fulfilling their purpose. Joshua would say they are manifesting perfection, which means to complete purpose, to fulfill a desire. So all around you, things are complete. The couch you're resting on, the chair you're sitting in, all of these things have come to a completion. They're capable of fulfilling their role, and they're totally supporting you right here, right now. And then I want to invite you to begin to let your eyes close as a simple symbol of withdrawing from the things around, not out of rejection, but from gratitude as you close the eyes and begin to be aware of the inner world. In many ways, we can say that the body is the fine line between the outer and the inner. It creates this amazing experience. And all too often, our attention is so caught up with the outer that we lose touch with the inner. And if you're like me and most human beings born into the world, we early on learned to pay attention to all of the signals coming from around us as we began to learn how to conform, to shapeshift in order to comply, in the hope that we'll find safety, security, approval, and love. And to do so, we began to harden or repress to close down inner impulse. We begin to lose touch with the inner realm. And imagine for a moment the body is this fine line between the inner and the outer. We lose touch with the capacity to truly feel every sensation, every feeling, every movement of emotion. We begin to lose touch and lose the capacity to have an intimate, healthy, real relationship with the thoughts that are going through the mind. But at a deeper level, we lose touch with the mystery that gave us life, the currents of true and deep desire, creative longing. We lose touch with the ground of true safety, true security, true approval, true love. We've become like a wave that's lost its roots in the ocean. And we lose deep trust with how the currents, the power of that silent depth of the ocean wants to move us. We've lost trust, lost flow and communion or communication. And yet there comes a stage when our longing for that reunion, to truly come to know the inner self, its true nature, to begin to discover what may be separating us from that union, what seems to be frustrating this deep creative flow. And that's exactly when the spiritual journey begins. So as you now begin to say thank you from the surface of the body to all that may yet be within, just say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Begin to become aware increasingly in feeling communion of what really is present as sensation, feeling. You may notice, tension in the shoulder or the eyes are tight. Just drop the pebble in the pond of awareness or mind to relax, to soften. By first turning toward and welcoming what is. Joshua tells us repeatedly in the pathway, love allows all things. Can I allow sensation, feeling, emotion, even if it's distraction or irritability, a tight muscle? Can I just welcome it as it is, the way a mother gathers children onto her lap? We're welcoming the nafsha, the many voices or movements of energy that take place in the manifested self, the wave arising from the ocean. And we're cultivating what he tells us is absolutely essential. Self-love. We are in fact becoming the power of Net Bayun, the intelligence that can bring back into wholeness by welcoming all these perturbations, inner voices, movements of energy that all too often we try to ignore, suppress, control, in our attempt to find safety, security, approval, and love from the world around us. rather than emerging from the infinite world within us. Self-love, the ability to feel, to stay present, scanning through the body, from the crown of the head all the way down into the pelvic area, the legs, down into the toes, letting everything soften. It's as if the tension holding the body relaxes, as though the wave is sinking into the buoyancy of the ocean itself. This is already to cultivate trust in what is unseen. And today we'll discover what seeing really means in the Beatitudes. The unseen, trust in what is not known, what is dark or outside the boundaries of my awareness, what has not yet been discovered and integrated into my consciousness. The ability to let go and relax and trust the unknown. And in that, begin to notice how the breath is flowing without doing anything, just noticing it. This extraordinary miracle, the flow of breath. So much more than just oxygen. Within it, as we rest in it, begin to truly feel it. Yes, the mind may jump away. When we notice that, we just come back. As though we were just allowing clouds to pass through an empty blue sky. Coming into feeling communion with this miracle of the breath itself. As we do that, Tu bayun lamaskenehi peru. Now the ripe time. Now the ripeness comes of making our home in the breathing. Lamaskenehi. Letting go of tension. Letting go of the subtle tendency to be all caught up in the thinking stream related to outer things. How the personality or ego mind interprets, reaches conclusions, tries to plan, the furtiveness of the waves on top of the ocean. We are thinning the self, letting it go, resting more and more in the breath. We begin to feel this quality within it. I call it sweetness. There's an attractiveness within this current of breath. It feels good to rest in it, to feel it flow. My in-breath is God's out-breath. And my out-breath, what I'm willing to let go of, is God's in-breath. This intimate union between the creator and the created, ocean and wave, formlessness and form. Tu bayun lamaskenehi peru, delhaun malkut adashmaya. As we rest in the breath, something is attracted to come toward us. Malkuta, the fertile field, the intelligence, the wisdom of the divine. Chokhmah, Sophia, Holy Spirit. And this field is all around us. It's beneath us. It's above us. It's It's touching the surface of the skin. It pours through the auric field. It is the ocean itself in which we live, move, and have our being. But how often do we truly rest and unwind, make our home in the breathing until subtle tensions and distractions begin to drift away? As we do so, Tubayun, a new ripeness comes. Lawile. Discover that rather than having to repress or control or argue with impulse, energy, feeling, emotion, perceptions, fears, we can welcome them. We can allow them to move within us as we breathe. All of the things we've learned about this is not okay, you should only be this way, all of that begins to drop away as we begin to welcome the totality of what makes us human, our humanity. For the universe itself is the wetness, the energy that forms the wave. We can welcome it. Tubayun Lawile. And as we discover that we can feel what we're feeling, a thought can arise, we come back to the breath. The breath itself begins to be this continual patterning, this field of flowing energy into which all things can arise and pass away. And in that they begin to be seen as harmless, innocent. They're not so powerful after all. Our presence is much more powerful. Tubayun Lawile. Something begins to happen. Dihinon, the divine kiss. I touch something and something is touching me. Such an intimacy. Netbayun, the healing power of love. The intelligence inherent in light that already knows how to bring us back toward wholeness, unfold the flowering of the soul, much more than the thinking mind could ever imagine being able to do. Netbayun, as you rest in the breath, let's just feel this quality. It's like someone that's got all the answers and has been there before us, and we can rest into its arms. The way if you're having surgery, you rest into the competency and skill of the surgeon. You know that love already knows you better than you know yourself. It knows how to bring back the fragmented parts, to knit back together what may have become split away, repressed, buried. And as we're willing to rest in that field, we may notice Lawile needs to happen even more, but we can allow it. We may need to cry or kick and scream or shout, whatever the energy needs to be, and then we return to the breath. Nothing needs to be repressed or fought with anymore in the field of love. And as we do that, a new ripeness comes, a new quality, Tubayun, Lamakike. Lamakike, softening, melting, the essence of humility. The self is being deeply thinned, even its resistance to feeling. Its need to be right is dissolving away. Its roots of fear, born in separation and loss of this connection with the ocean, is beginning to occur. There's a softening, a letting go. We feel it in every cell. The breath itself begins to deepen and become much more fluid. And as this softening of what has been rigid within occurs, again, dihinon, something kisses us, something comes so close. Nertun arha. We begin to receive life force, that which restores the earth, the body, our beingness, begins to flow through us. The wave is beginning to be restored in the ocean. And as we rest into this quality ever more deeply, and yes, again, the mind may try to pull us away, we just notice it, return to the breath, come back into feeling communion. If we allow this deeply enough, something miraculous begins to occur. Now a new ripeness, tubayun, lalain, to rest, to wait on the Lord, as though we were just sitting in the dark, not trying to do anything, but having let go of the disturbances via the purification of lawile, mind settling down, flow of this great union with breath. We begin to notice our true desire. I really want a solution to whether I keep this job or not. Do I move to Hawaii or do I live in the Maldives? I don't know. The willingness to trust not knowing is the essence of Lalain. I do not know. I do not need to know. I can rest and welcome the truth of my real desire, whatever that may be, and at its deepest level, the kafnin, there's a deep longing within us. The longing has been there since the dream of separation began. The longing to restore the soul in its union with its creator, to learn to live from that union, to flower creation, to co-create with the creator. This deep longing for home, Watsain. We become aware that I'm thirsty, I feel parched out, I've been so busy with the outer world, I'm not watering the roots deep within. Now as I rest, Laknuta, this longing, this purity of desire begins to be our new fulcrum. I'm not up at the surface of the mind anymore, I'm in the depth of my being. Becomes like the operational center. And when we do that, when we can really rest in this purity of desire, I long for God. I long for greater love, greater creativity, greater wholeness, greater wisdom. This is my longing. The lack of it has left me thirsty. And I see that I've let my energy be so caught up at the surface of the wave that I forgot to water the roots. The Kanuta brings forth again the divine kiss, Dihinon. Something comes now, Nisboon, new birthing power. This field of energy that will begin to reveal revelation, answer, direction. A sense of something flowing into us, restoring us, that allows us to rest even more deeper into present trust. And as this process of alchemy is taking place and goes on, something new begins to ripen from this birthing power. Tubayun lam rachmane. Something penetrates us in our longing for God. God's longing for us can penetrate more deeply. We might say touch the heart and the soul, like letting a lover finally come in fully. Tubayu lam rachmane, lam rachme. Ra, a radiating force, lam, penetrating me. Lam racham, alchemy, light, penetrating darkness, deep within the soul. Delehun, nehun, rachme. Something magically begins to turn as we open to receive this light, this knowing, this new creative power. We begin to sense our connection between wave and ocean. Nehun rachme, what begins to turn is rachme. What is penetrated us now wants to move out from our core. Deep under every fear, deep under every sense of inadequacy or unworthiness, is this deep longing to give forth love, to radiate this birthing power, this sacred unity in new forms. We feel a great compassion, a deep sense of oneness with all of life. We recognize that the deepest desire of the soul is to love. Truly love, not from an egoic place, but the place of Christ. To love in a way that serves the flowering and unfolding of another soul. To help alleviate suffering. To serve. Tu vayu lam rachmane, delehun nehun rachme. And as we begin to feel this and welcome it, even if it burns within us, this longing to give forth what has been given, coming back into wholeness. Something now again begins to ripen. A new ripeness comes. A new quality begins to emerge. Tubayun, lalain. A beautiful sense of lalain. Something deeper can happen as I rest in the unknown. As I surrender into my desire for sacred intimacy with the Creator. Letting go of all of those surface thoughts, recognizing my longing, my desire, my thirst, this light that breaks through my fears and my boundaries, and I remember that I want to love. That's what I'm here for. I want that to move me. Tu bayun lalain, dad kain, blebon. Dihinon, Natzun, Lalaha. Tubayun, Lalain, Dad Kain, Blebon. Dad Kain, consistency. Consistency, returning to the breath. Lawile. Lamakike, the Kofnain, Watsain, opening to light, every day coming back to the place of prayer and union, consistently, over time and through all conditions. That came a maturing of our capacity to enter true prayer, to rest in union, to less and less be defeated by the fears, patterns, outcomes, conditions, opinions of others. More and more we're able to let go of that orientation, to seek first the queendom. The maturing of the capacity to set aside our world and rest in God. Blebon, lebon, Aramaic word for the heart. The heart is the center, the deepest sense of our operational self, the deepest quality or truth of our pure existence. For Joshua, the heart is this center that radiates life and light. The heart. Beyond personal affection, yumminess, there's all kinds of qualities to the heart, but here he's speaking of a great depth that rests in the depth of the ocean, le bon. More and more, this deep heart comes to be seen as the very birthing womb of creation itself. I and my Father are one. The same birthing womb that rests and is the first emanation from God or Allah is my true heart. As I rest deeply into this, that great divine kiss, Dihinon, comes, and it brings Netzun. Netzun. Let's just take a moment and feel this vibration, even though we don't yet know what it may mean. Netzun. 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 Pure light, penetrating so deeply that what has been dark is illuminated like a flash of lightning in the dark of night. What we have not known, what we have not seen, is illuminated and revealed in our being. Oh my God, I've been run by fear for 9,000 incarnations. Now I see it. The power to see. Netzun, illuminated vision. And where does this illuminating power of light come forth? Dalaha or Allaha, sacred union, source of all, God, gushing, ongoing divinity, the source of all creation, the birthing womb, the home of wisdom, intelligence, birthing power, God. Tubayun, Lalain, Dadkain, Blabon. As I rest and wait, as I rest in the power of the breath, as attunement, true prayer, shalu, coming into flow and union with this very life force and light that breathes me into existence, letting go of all the temptations of thought, perception, having allowed any disturbances, energies just to be felt and flow through. What comes eventually is what everybody in the spiritual journey wants, the direct experience of the light of God. Tubayun, Lalain, Dadkain Blabon. Through my consistency and maturity of resting in the heart, rather than being constantly run by the impulses of the egoic mind, the more I contact and rest in this great, beautiful, radiant, infinite center, Labon, the heart. Netzun, the power of light to reveal, that illuminates and shows you the truth. Oh my God, I've been tolerating dysfunctionality in my relationships. Okay, now I see it. The dark has been illuminated like a flash of lightning. And this light comes from God itself. I'm home. I and my Father are one. Here comes vision. This is where we contact it. The true direction that would fulfill my longing. Not my will, but thine be done begins to flow through us. Tubayun lalain, dadkain, blabon, dihinon, netsun, dalaha, or lalaha. Sacred unity has now finally been able to penetrate me to the core, and my mind, my being is illuminated. I see. As you rest for just a few more moments there, is this not what fulfills all longing? We don't want to disappear into God, although sometimes we may wish we could. What we really want is the light of the divine that reveals and illuminates and shows us the direction of our unfolding. For within us is the desire not to escape or disappear, but to become that through which this light can pour forth in new creations, can be given. There is within us this longing to give what we know we have received: life, light. Sacred unity, Allah, Abun, Abba. Qualities of the divine that sometimes are like the divine parent, always like a process of flow, light streaming. Always God is giving the fullness of itself, but we have created barriers against how deeply we will receive it. Especially if we have to give up our constructed self, its perceptions and beliefs, and where it has believed it can find safety, security, approval, and love. I'll find it if I marry the right man who makes lots of money, or vice versa. I'll find it if I figure out how to please everybody so everyone's always happy with me, even if I have to kind of live a bit of a lie to do that. So we've constantly sought for these things that can only be truly known in this process of purification, this depth of surrender, in which finally this light can break all the way through. It becomes our home, our lover, our truth, our greatest value. It begins to direct our course. It begins to flower us. We surrender to its movement rather than controlling, directing, and deciding for ourselves. Into thy hands I commend my spirit. Yes, that can be frightening. Yes, there are edges of the flowering process that occur. Of course, la wile will be required. But deep within, this is what every soul wants. This deep light that illuminates and thus shows us. And in that, we can feel its momentum and direction. So take a slow, deep breath into the belly. Let it fill up through the heart. Let it roll over into an out breath. And as that out breath leaves the body, rest. Feel the support of the chair, the couch, the floor, wherever you are. Truly feel it and welcome it. Even in our dreams of separation, our egoic reactions, the patterns of inadequacy, guilt, all of the frequencies we've played with and took seriously, the whole time, Nispun, this birthing power, this love of the ocean has been holding us, The way I like to put it is, God only knows one word. Okay. So whatever I have desired, if I wanted to explore guilt and shame and become fully identified with it, I have always been supported by the power of creation itself to fulfill my desire. If that's not love, I don't know what is. No matter what you want to do, here you go. Here's all the light and power you need to trap yourself in a tiny box and pretend you're happy there. And we all know what it's like to feel that constriction. Something's off. I feel a little trapped. Something's not flowing. These are the great birthing signs. And when we begin to turn toward that, to come within, Queendom of Heaven is within. That is, it's inside the nafsha. But we don't get there unless we welcome the nafsha and all of the weavings we have woven in our journey of separation. Our creations await us. As we unfold them and breathe and feel fully and allow Net Bayun, this healing power of love itself, flowing from Allah, begins to soften the hidden edges. We begin to heal more deeply into the roots. We contact finally our true longing. I've never really wanted approval from everyone else. I just want to love everybody. That's whatever they do. We begin to be able to release the world from the projections we've placed upon it as we begin to rest into this greater wholeness, wave in ocean. And here in this beautiful sixth beatitude, the light of God that illuminates, that reveals, that empowers, that heals, truly begins to happen. This is what we often call home. I just want to be home in God. And unfortunately in the West, as in also some Eastern forms of spirituality, this has become the end goal. If I could just go home to God. I heard a Course in Miracles teacher once say, if I could just forgive enough, I wouldn't have to see this world. Ay, 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 ay. Oh my. Whoa, if I could just escape into perfect formless light. So I said, excuse me, if you disappeared into perfect formless light, how would you know you're in perfect formless light? So there's no knower. There's the loss of the self is not really the goal, but the flowering of the self in union with Allah, at rest, in which we become Malkuta ourselves. We become the birthing womb of God's new creations. That's the next beatitude, but for right now, we're home. As I allow myself to purify and heal, to turn back toward what needs embracing, forgiveness, etc., I begin to realize that there's a direct relationship with my capacity to remain in the flow of breath, even as disturbance, repressed psychological stuff comes up. Instead of contracting and going away, the more I can breathe, the more deeply I can feel. Something within the breath itself purifies, softens, and dissolves the grips, the roots, the attachments, the recoils against incarnated life itself. Our beingness expands to enfold our humanity, to enfold space and time, to welcome the world just as it is. Because within Net Zoom is the process of enlightenment. That process deepens. Our consciousness begins to truly see what's really occurring. Well, they're not actually angry at me. They're very afraid they're going to lose me as a source of love. Oh, I'm seeing that what is not love is fear and nothing else. Don't have to take it so personally. I begin to see the subtle patterns of my being that have trapped me. The inner capacities of intelligence begin to unfold. We begin to see beyond the surface of things. The light within us penetrates, and we see the patterns that are actually making up the world. But we also see something else. We see that I am the maker of the world. The depth of my being has never been just the surface self. It was born in space-time, has a name, an astrological sign or whatever, knows a certain language. The depth of my true being is soul. We begin to see that, quite frankly, there's really only one of us here, one infinite birthing power. And yes, we have fractured and fragmented and explored every possible frequency of separation, everything that can be born from fear. This has become the world we have experienced. As Christ begins to arise because of and in this light, Christ doesn't deny the world. Christ embraces it just as it is and brings itself into that world to birth light, to alleviate suffering, to bring forth creations that reveal sacred unity rather than creations that veil it and distort it with fear. Netzun is a very precious word that refers to an ongoing quality of enlightenment. Enlightenment then is not some finalized state. It has nothing to do with a belief or a concept or an idea. It is the power to see with ever deeper cosmic penetration. We see with God's eyes. In the Western world, to see often means I understand it conceptually. I see, oh yes, I get it now. Okay, that works this way and that works. That's wonderful. That's a surface of seeing. That has become the sine qua non, the depth. This is the greatest thing. If my intellect can just understand, then I'll have knowledge. That's not Netzun. To see comes from a much deeper wholeness, and it's very holistic. It illuminates all of the subtle patterns making up the world, whether my own internal world, someone else's, America, whatever it might be. You begin to see what's really operating in the depths, what shapes the ocean into its waves. Netzun knows no final limit. There is no end to enlightenment. There is only ceaseless unfolding of light itself as it begins to be increasingly integrated. And here I think we can make a really important distinction between awareness and consciousness. For the Aramaic world, for Jeshua, awareness is this field, yes, in which light begins to flow. Awareness. Consciousness refers to the degree to which it has been integrated into ourselves and is expressing, how it creates, how it brings formlessness into form. So awareness, wonderful. I could sit on my meditation cushion, be penetrated by light. I can see all of my patterns or the world. But I'm still sitting on my cushion, and at one moment I have to pee. So I have to open my eyes, get off of my cushion, and continue to move forward in the realm of manifested energy. So for Joshua, enlightenment is not an end. Resting in God is not the end. It's a return to the ancient beginning. To be restored in wholeness so that creation can extend itself. And again, as we begin to heal and wake up, this longing, cacophony within us is to bring forth creations that reveal sacred unity and are fulfilled within it. We all know what it's like to feel an inner frustration. I get up and go to a certain job that I've been doing for 10 years, but it's growing stale. It's like, or maybe I'm making good money as a computer programmer creating video games. But after a while, it's like this feels empty. It's like it's devoid of real life. There's got to be something more. That is the movement of the soul breaking through the habits and patterns that we created as we sought safety, security, approval, and love from the position of identity called ego or fear. We long to flower a deeper understanding to bring forth new creations. And so we find for Joshua, this is just, to me, it's like the beauty of the Christ path. When it's really understood, healing and purification is a restoration, a return to an original wholeness. And indeed, we find that the word forgiveness, washwoklan, literally translates as to be restored to original wholeness. Not to disappear, but to be returned to the ancient beginning so that this movement of light, the soul's longing to love, can flow without the impediments and fears, the patterns that we dreamed up in the dream of separation. Hope all that makes sense for you. It's really, really important to get. The seeking of enlightenment is really the willingness to purify, to be restored, to go through labile, whatever it takes to get to the roots, to soften what is rigid within, so that light can penetrate all the way and awaken the depth of the soul in its longing to love its creator, and finally allow the creator to penetrate and love the soul, to become the soul moving power through the soul's own birthing womb, no longer enshrouded by the veils of fear, guilt, shame, and all the rest, inadequacy. That's the Christ path. So we're not here to watch the universe disappear. We're not here to escape. We're here to be restored to original wholeness so that we can enfold the world we have made and transform it in the power of love itself, to bring forth new creations. So let's just take a breath right now, right where we are. Sixth Beatitude is the last of the second Trinity. It's what flowers, as the first Trinity is allowed to mature, the second flow, the fourth, fifth, and sixth Beatitudes deliver us to this experience where finally light is penetrating me to the core of my being. And yes, I will see every fear, every pattern I ever birthed. Go, wow, that's a pretty trippy journey I've been on. And I just want to rest in God. I will see clearly. And in that, a new power begins to arise. And it's a mysterious power. It doesn't happen overnight. The more that we, Dad Cain, mature in resting in the true heart, the more Netzun and its inherent capacity of infinite seeing to illuminate all the hidden places, we may begin to see what some would call past lives, or we may see where the patterns of fear are holding the whole planet. And we may be called to welcome those into our very being, to breathe the light of spirit through them. As we sit on our meditation cushion, we begin to be capable of welcoming all the pain of the world into the presence of our heart and our breath. We welcome all the fragmented parts, no longer just our own, because we begin to see that I may wave, you're a wave, yet you know what? We are rising mutually out of the ocean itself. Where does my wave end and yours begin? Good luck finding that, because in the root, there's only oneness. This energy that has come forth from the womb, in which we've attempted to separate, become lost with identity of form. I think I'm my body, you're just your body, so whatever your stuff is your stuff, and my stuff is my stuff. You keep your stuff over there, and I'll keep my stuff over here. All of that is duality, and it denies the reality of oneness. And this is why he says to us often in the way of teachings, you have never looked upon another, you see only yourself. He does not mean that the only thing you see are self-generated perceptions occurring inside your mind. He means it quite literally. Yourself is in the one in front of you now. That self is vast. It's the root and source of all human beings, all animals, all trees, all rocks, all asteroids, all planetary systems, and all thought. Self is amazing. The true self is this womb from which all forms have arisen. But we've lost sight, we've gotten caught up with a distortion in which we think we are separate. One of the most beautiful things that he said, I think it's in the way of the servant. It sounds so simple, but wow, when you meditate on it. He said that if your brother or sister is hungry, you are absent from the feast. So much for final enlightenment just for myself. As long as I'm happy and content and I've got my Mercedes or whatever it might be, well, you know, if they're suffering over there, oh well. No. For Joshua, if we really, Netzun is penetrated deeply enough, we cannot help but see that our brother or sister is the self. And if there's a pattern of guilt or shame or woundedness there, that's where to turn. That's where to bring light. That's where to bring love, compassion, caring. Where they couldn't even come into our experience unless the totality of creation is arranging just this moment, just this meeting. No one can come to us by accident. It's a beautiful, I can't remember the exact word in Aramaic, but when he says, love your neighbor as yourself, neighbor means be watchful. To love means to unfold from presence, not grasp at, not take ownership or possession of, not decide just to go, oh yeah, hey, you're pretty sweet. That's all nice, but it's not really the place of real love, which can enfold and hold another as yourself in this deep presence and spaciousness. So we said, love your neighbor means pay attention. Who's being drawn to be in the sphere of your awareness? Might be somebody moving in next door. Could be a friend coming for dinner. Well, I wonder why now. Who is this being now? Love your neighbor as yourself. You've never looked upon another. You see only yourself. Now, to what degree can we really welcome another into love if we haven't first truly learned to love ourselves, to welcome the depth of our own humanity, our fears, our jealousies, our guilts, to look upon our own creations, to soften the rigidity of repression, denial, and become that field that can enfold all of my humanity, the journey I've been on, to bring forgiveness and wholeness to that, to Dadkain, to mature in the consistency of resting in this deep heart of union with God, letting the flow of Shem through the breath restore all things. The more deeply I do this, the more I can enfold the world and hold my neighbor as myself. The more deeply I can join with them in pure presence, trusting the moment, not for what I would have it be, but for what the divine knows it needs to be. Hope all that makes sense to you. So this is the real depth of the Christ path. We find it right here in this beautiful sixth beatitude, which is the kind of, you could say, the end or the last of the second Trinity. But just as with the first Trinity, the third beatitude becomes the springboard for transformation in alchemy at Beatitude 4. Likewise now, as Beatitude 6 matures in our being, this light is penetrating us ever more deeply, lighting up the dark places. It becomes not an end, but a springboard for what's going to come, what will unfold from this new depth of wholeness. And that we'll get to in Beatitude 7 and beyond. There's a flowering stage of creation, new creations, new power begins to express. We really do become a new self. The old self becomes more and more like an echo of a dream outgrown, or in the same way you might look at yourself in a memory of being in grade school. And yeah, you can kind of remember it and you can watch yourself being maybe a little silly. You know, it's like, oh my goodness. But it's just done, you know, it's a stage you've grown through. And likewise, here at the sixth beatitude, a new self is going to begin to emerge because it's being moved from the restoration of a much deeper wholeness and the patterns of the ego, of fear, the patterns that have led us to seek safety, security, approval, and love egoically from the shallowest levels of the world, turning others into sources of our comfort and our goodness. We've become our comfort. We've become our goodness. The world is increasingly released from my projections, and I'm in love with this birthing womb, this union of the divine and the light that wants to bring forth new creations for purposes that are all about fulfilling the longing and the thirst, the hungering that's driving others. Christ begins to engage the world, not to escape from it, with the goal of delivering it from suffering and restoring it to what reflects increasingly the good, the holy, and the beautiful, the qualities that reveal the presence of God itself. That's the call of the Christ. And so we're willing to stay in space and time and enfold the world increasingly from this great wholeness, this light, this love. Le bon, the heart. Take a moment and just take your left hand, let it rest on the heart center, and let the breath flow through it. Just welcome the breath and feel it through your hand if you're relaxed enough. You may actually feel this subtle vibration inside the breath as it flows through the heart. And on the exhale, even out loud if you wish to whisper, le bon, le bon, heart, true center, le bon. It may begin to feel as though the heart is the center of the breathing itself, resting in it, feeling it, allowing it. Ancient beginning, home, birthing womb, le bon. May offer the willingness, the desire for the light of God to penetrate the heart so deeply, illuminating so profoundly that all shadows can disappear. What has been hidden can be seen truly and held in the heart. Le bon. How often in the course of my given day do I simply elect to return to the heart, to breathe, to rest, to feel? Where in the activity of my day do I become so preoccupied with the outer that I lose touch with the breathing heart? Can I begin to desire, to remember, to rest in the heart, to welcome the light that can illuminate what the moment is truly for? If a disturbance comes or some condition arises that tempts me toward fear, can I remember to breathe, to seek first the queendom by resting in the heart, welcoming Netzun, this great light that can bring illumination. Can I let the conditions of my karma, the world I've perhaps generated according to my consciousness, can I come to see that the outcomes, the conditions, can themselves now become the field that signals me, reminds me to return to the heart, to welcome this light that comes not from my own understanding, but from a much deeper source? What if the very conditions of my known world were truly liberated and become the field of Malkuta itself, letting its signals be absorbed in my breath and my heart, waiting for the light that comes, that shows me truly what something is for, how something has arisen, as a signal to welcome my true longing, this great depth that wants not just God, but to give God. To choose anew is one way he puts it. And this deep new choice comes only from the heart, not from the mind trying to figure it out. Le bon, the deepest center of my being, where awareness can become new consciousness, new integration. Lipon, Tuwayun, Lalain, Dadkain, Blibon, resting, waiting, abiding in the very practice of the earlier Beatitudes, resting in the breath, allowing feeling, sensation until the breath flows, new spaciousness opens. This great longing, not my will, but thine be done. Show me your will, Lord. Let your light reveal. Tuwayun, Lalain, Dadkain, consistently the practice deepens of devotion, resting in the heart. In the pathway we say, breath first, mind last, heart and feeling in between. So the mind becomes increasingly only the servant of the loved and awakening heart. Not the director, not the possessor of the heart, but the servant of the awakening heart. As I rest consistently in this way, in the center of this true womb, this true sense of my deepest self, not my egoic mind, not my thoughts and perceptions, the light of the divine can penetrate to the core because I've softened what is rigid within. For my true desire is to be the conduit for the flow of love itself. The purpose of every wave is to express the good, the holy, the beautiful, the power of the ocean itself. May all of our gestures and all of our creations begin to signal to all others, God is. When every gesture, every desire, every movement comes only from the heart, we're moving from the Christ. And Christ's purpose is twofold. As this light begins to move through us, it is to help alleviate suffering, the obstacles that are blocking the self through others from remembering the truth of their being and becoming the birthing womb of all that light can bring forth, until all of creation is revealing love, which is God, is. May all of our creations gift the presence of love. Here is our deepest desire, our deepest longing, and the deepest truth of our true identity. Le bon. The more that we rest in the heart, breath first, mind last, seek first the queendom of heaven, all things will be shown and given. As we rest in and feel the support, the buoyancy of the ocean itself in which we live, move, and have our being, the more this Christed being begins to flower within us. Enlightenment is unfolding like a flower, and it will never cease, it will never end, for there can be no limit to God. Here is our true longing, our true identity. Tuwayun, Lalain, Dadkain, Blibon. The more that consistency is cultivated, Dihinon, we will be touched and kissed by Netsun, directly from Allah, the light that illuminates, to see to the root of things, to recognize pattern, to see the pathway, the direction, the choice that truly unfolds the soul. Allah, sacred unity, God, penetrates us with its illuminating light as we create the spaciousness in which it can be received, as we soften the rigid edges that we've created, born of fear, where our identity has still believed, I am just this man, just this woman, I live here, this is my job. These are all temporary expressions of consciousness. And likewise, as we rest ever more deeply in this heart and let this Shem, this breath, flow through us, as light illuminates and heals us, we will be moved to become conduits for God's new creations. And that is what begins to arise in Beatitude 7 as we enter the final Trinity. And it is an extraordinary Trinity indeed. The full flowering of Christed being will take us on a journey that the mind can't even imagine as further stages of alchemy unfold. But first, let us cultivate Dad Cain, this great consistency of resting in the breath, welcoming its flow, softening as we allow whatever needs to be felt moved as energy, for it will always restore us in deeper peace and wholeness. And the breath itself contains this light. As we open to the breath, we're literally opening to the light of the divine. It penetrates us far more deeply than any belief, any concept, any practice that is controlled or directed by the mind that already thinks it knows what should happen. A much deeper surrender. This light will show the way of love. It will show us the decisions to make. It will unfold our very being, our destiny, our purpose. Take one more good deep breath. Touch your heart a little and just say, thank you, heart. I'm so sorry for all the stuff I've shoved down into you and the barriers I've built around you. Go ahead. Breathe the light of Allah. Let the light penetrate you. I'm going to let you lead, and I, my thinking mind, will become your servant. This light of God feels indeed like home. And it is. But again, it's so important to remember that, take the story of the prodigal son. In the Western formation of Christianity, the story of the prodigal son seems to end when the son returns home. So we have this thing about getting to heaven, being done with the world of form. But for Joshua and any genuine spirituality, the return home is simply the correction, the foundation from which creation can flow without the impediments and distortions of fear or ego. The swirling nafsha settles down and becomes the field through which this light brings forth new creations. The purpose of God is not to end creation, but to perfect it, to complete it as that which reveals the divine itself. If there could be an end to creation, there would be an end or a limit to God. That doesn't happen. It's a ceaseless unfolding. Our joy and our journey is to ceaselessly open so that that light can penetrate more deeply and bring forth what both completes and fulfills the soul's purpose, but what reveals the good, the holy, and the beautiful through us. This becomes our joy. That's why we wake up in the morning. Life becomes yummy, delicious. Tubayun, lalain, dadkain, blipon, the consistency of resting in the heart, letting whatever needs to purify or be transformed be felt and allowed with this great trust. For it is the very light of the divine Netbayun that knows how to bring us into an even greater wholeness as a conduit through which the creative light of the divine can express itself more than ever before. And as it does so, our consciousness will be changed as it reorients and becomes a new field of the self. Ceaseless death and rebirth, with no end, only ceaseless flowering. Now, right where you are, welcome your life, just as it is now. Where you are experiencing your consciousness, the current effect of the degree of wisdom and wholeness that has flowered within you. The world you experience around you is an expression of that consciousness. Can we come to welcome it for the beauty that it truly is? It is a petal unfolding you. It reveals the degree to which this union has been freed to birth and become the womb of your being. Joshua tells us so many times, you have never sinned, you have never made an error. There have been no wrong turns in your journey. None. If we take on shame and guilt, it is the frequency and the context and the experience of that that deepens the flow of wisdom within us, that creates the longing to heal and to grow. Everything has served its purpose in bringing you right to where you are now. Can we love it? Can we welcome it truly? Can we come to see that within that welcoming is the very alchemy that takes what has been and transforms it into birthing power, in which new frequencies, new qualities can come forth through us. I am the wave of God's ocean. As I come to trust that movement, that one will direct my course. That one is already now unfolding awareness of itself in and as my consciousness. Can I truly come to desire and love only this ceaseless birthing, this miracle of God coming to dwell in and as and express through and create through the soul itself? Here alone we find the fulfillment of our true purpose. We were created to create, to extend the good, the holy, and the beautiful. Quietly now, just as we began, let's say thank you. Thank you. Thank you to the source of our existence. Thank you to the Chokmah, the wisdom that even when we weren't in touch with it, was right there with us, unfolding us as petals from a flower. Malkuta is all around. The Bashem Maya, the Shem, this very light, this wisdom, this love, this creative birthing power is and always has been the field in which I know my being arises and moves. If I just trust it and surrender ever more deeply, heaven is all around me. Heaven is here. There is no other place. Heaven is now. There is no other time. Only this unfolding ocean into wave and through wave, what expresses increasingly the love that God is. This very moment and every moment, mind-blowingly extraordinary. When first we rest and remember and trust. May all beings come to join this circle of light. May all beings come to recognize the birthing womb of the divine is the very depth of their own existence. May all beings come to be freed from their suffering, from the limitations and the shackles that are yet obstructing them from the direct experience of knowing I and my Father are one. Time to dance, time to create, time to give thanks through everything we do, everything we think, that love can come to truly be the very ground from which all worlds arise, the frequencies of fear dissipated by the very Natsun of Anaha. Thank you, Lord, for our lives. Our lives are but your life. We are one. Amen. And with that, precious friends, we'll let that be enough for now. The sixth Beatitude. And if you've been really engaging with them, it's probably taking you through some alchemical stuff. But it's all the process of transformation, the divine being welcomed ever deeper into our being. As he says in the way, at the end of the way of knowing, it's just so precious. In the end, as we truly become completed in our ability to surrender and become the birthing womb of the divine, he said, you will come to see that you are conduit only. Like a pipe, a piece of PVC through which something can flow. God, love. The gift is that you begin to realize that God's gift to you as soul is the ability, the awareness to witness the movement and creations of love through you. You're no longer the maker and doer. You're no longer striving to be seen. You're the enjoyer, the witness of the miracle of love's extension. This is why he once said to his followers, every time he did something amazing, which was often, they of course wanted to kind of put him on a pedestal and see him as extraordinary. And not once did he ever agree with that. He would deflect it and just say, look, don't call me good. There is only one that is good, God. How do you do these things? I get out of the way and God does them through me. I'm not the maker and doer. The ego needs to be seen as good. It wants its works praised as it tries to fill up the emptiness that it cannot help but perpetuate throughout all eternity. But as we truly heal and awaken, we really do just be blown away by the witnessing of what can flow through the open channel, no longer blocked by the contractions of fear, of ego, the grasping for safety, security, approval, and love from a world that is itself just a projection and effect of the quality of consciousness from which it has arisen. That world can never feed the soul, but through the soul, the world can be fed with what transforms it. The power of love. Let us all be that source and offer each and every being that birthing womb, that presence, and invite them ever more deeply to become that themselves. For truly we look not upon another, we see only the degree to which the true self is operating through form. And we can begin to see where it may be blocked in another. That means there's suffering. May all beings be freed of that suffering as heaven comes to earth. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Big blessings to you. Enjoy immersing in the Beatitudes. Let them work on you. The vibration of the Aramaic, the essence words. Give it breath. Welcome it. It will continue to work within you in ways that the conscious mind can't really direct. With that, have a wonderful day, an evening, a week, or not. It's a choice. And we'll see you here next week as we dive into the last of the Trinities. The first one, Beatitude 7. Oh my goodness, it's amazing. We'll see you then. Take care. Mwah. Bye-bye. Good morning, good afternoon, good night.